Wow, thank you, Alex. I appreciate you on that. Look at that, Mercury retrograde at its finest. So I'll make sure to put in the comments. Video starts at 2:46 or whatever. Um, so already this is beautiful because already this is going to turn away 2 minutes and 49 seconds worth of people who may not check in the chat. Am I good on sound now? Just to check in. Just a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I believe I unmuted it. That said, what I'll put is, if you do want to join this call, before you do, consider this. Thank you. I appreciate it, Alex. Before you do, consider this. We're looking to share what mysteries has been through your dreams, magically landing in your lap through your day-to-day action, have been revealing certain addictions, okay? Has been revealing certain addictions that poison our heart, right? That makes us feel like we're intolerable. That makes us feel like we're too much. That makes us feel like we're too emotional. That makes us feel like we're too, and then fill in an adjective, right? And how are we able to change where we used to work ourselves to exhaustion, explain ourselves to death, especially to people, other people outside of ourselves, that essentially we needed in this karmic journey to reflect back to us? Which part of myself did I not accept or did I not tolerate? But I was unwilling to see that within myself. I was unwilling to see how addicted I've been to this subconscious program, whether it's coming from a place of my family or otherwise. How can I look at my belief systems and honestly change my mind, change my heart, change how I used to deal with these areas of my life that I've really never added and poured in compassion, and poured in a gentle spirit, and poured in a loving touch, and poured in filling these Piscean adjectives. Allowing myself to use my imagination. When I feel Pisces full moon, it's like, how can we start to use our imagination to just approach something, especially an addiction, gently. Addiction in this particular instance defined by something you can't stop. Whether you're addicted to anger, whether you're addicted to playing victim, whether you're addicted to a story that you was told that no longer fits. It doesn't resonate with your heart. Your heart is like, look, you know what? Because I'm the heart, I can't close off to you. But I want you to realize this false pain in your heart space. I want you to realize that if you allow yourself to be vulnerable and approach what you seem or deem as unlovable, what you deem as too much, too dramatic, too cinematic, I want you to start to look at this and realize how it has exhausted you. I want you to take the time alone, as full moon is saying, take the time alone and feel into, how can I, honest to God, approach this addiction of mine to anger, to love, to other people, to money? How can I look at this addiction of mine, something I can't stop, and just pause and feel into, what is my heart asking me? But quietly. What is it quietly asking me? What is it asking me with kindness? What is it asking me with, emotional integrity? Am I taking the time and creating space for my emotions? Am I taking the time and creating space for vulnerability? All of these are questions that this full moon wants us to ask. And we're stepping into a very mysterious place right now. A lot of people are completely unfamiliar with what we're feeling. It's like, what am I feeling? I don't know. Am I relaxed? I don't know. Am I irritated? I don't know. Am I actually worried, or is this an old belief? I don't know. Do I have enough money to pay my bills? I don't know. Do I really like this person anymore? I don't know. Pisces is really one of these symbols that wants us to explore the mystery and just be simply honest with, I don't know. And it's in allowing ourselves to not know, and allowing ourselves, somebody told me recently, like a statement of Steve Jobs of like, he'd rather hire a lazy person than like a workaholic, because the lazy person will find the cheapest, most affordable, and simplistic way to get the same result that somebody would put too many hours into trying to work and grind gears to figure it out. Rather, the laziness of Pisces is never been considered something bad. The laziness of Taurus has never been considered something bad. This form of laziness is a divine feminine trait. It's also part of their magnificent ability to attract, to magnetize their goals, their finances, their love life, their ideals, to magnetize them to it. And this full moon is one of these things where it's like, this is not where you overwork. This is not where you hit every single deadline. This is where you find a way in your heart to be forgiving and realize, I didn't hit that goal on time. I didn't hit that deadline on time. I don't need to manipulate somebody into what I want them to do, because I see this as necessary. I actually just want to offer and extend my gratitude and offer and extend my compassion to say, look, right now I could tell you don't know, I could tell this stresses you out, and there's no reason for me to add stress, so here's what this healthy compromise looks like. I must say this because it's a boundary, it's a barrier, but at the same time, like, I could be gentle with this. And because I care for you and your well-being, I want you to be gentle with yourself as well. Something happened with me very recently, and I found myself with my partner, right? This is a personal story. I found myself with my partner, and we were looking to take a vacation. We're like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to take this vacation? And I found myself wanting to, like, strong arm my way and be like, look, I need to go. I need a vacation. I need to regress. I need to recover. I need to rejuvenate. I've been working with a lot of people. I need to clean my spirit. I need to clean my soul. Like, I need to clean this physical body, this physical vessel, because it's overwhelmed. And the way I wanted to take it was, in a sense, originally in the conditioned pattern, I wanted to, in a sense, take it by force. But force wasn't working. And it was only when I began to open up and start to say, well, how can I take it in your perspective? What do you need to feel safe? What do you need? How can we do this vacation? And so even when I said that, weeks still gone by and nothing really was clear on how was that going to play out. But instead, I allowed myself to be lazy and more relaxed with, let's let the universe take a little bit more control, a lot more control. For now, how about I just sit down and just be like, look, you know what? In my heart, I know that this is going to work and it's going to work the right way. And then out of nowhere, the idea comes and it's like, okay, well, how about I go take 3 days in this location for vacation, and then you meet me, and then we'd spend 3 days together, and then I leave, and then you get your 3 days by yourself. This is the beginning of the whole compromise where everybody wins. And if I think about this Pisces full moon and the mysteries and the revelations that's coming up, as I continue forward, what it looks like from there is you hitting the thumbs up and the likes button. What it looks like from there is like I find myself sensitive one of these days, really vulnerable, and I find myself wanting to show affection, but maintaining the mystery behind what was I actually appreciating about my partner. I just kind of left it as, hey, here's this gesture of affection, this gesture of love, this gesture of, hey, I care for you. But I'm going to keep my intention behind what that is to myself, because I'm sensitive to this. I know I'm vulnerable in this particular area, so I'll keep it to myself. Okay, you fast forward, and 5 to 8 hours go by, and then it comes back up unexpectedly, and I find myself like exposed. I'm like, oh my God, like this is exactly the thing that I was sensitive about earlier, and now it's up, and now I'm criticizing what's being said, not because I believe you're trying to ostracize me or make me feel bad or put me down, but because now the same sensitive gesture 5-6 hours later that I put out into the universe, I spread to you, is now exposed. But the rational mind for me, thank God it's Aquarius moon, was able to say, Pernell, wait a minute. This is you juggling right now between your own head. She does not even know that this is what you did to expose yourself, emotionally speaking, vulnerably speaking, sensitively speaking earlier. So pause and realize my addiction to reacting. Once that sensitive area of my life was revealed, I wanted to react with rage, with anger. I wanted to turn her quickly into my enemy. But the rationality just said, well, let's just pause. Recognize that that's how you feel, and recognize how programmatic that has been in your life. Recognize that anytime somebody recognizes any soft spot within you, how quickly you tear them down. When that's not the response, that's very outdated. It's not even me. It's not how I feel. How I actually felt was appreciative, loving, grateful that I had a partner that I can expose these sensitivities with. That's how I really felt. But Pisces and what's releasing and what's asking us to release with a certain sense of tenderness is coming and saying, hey, Pernell, why don't you try this? Recognize your addiction to respond violently. Violently because you don't understand your emotion in this space right now, because I haven't given myself enough space to understand this, to share this vulnerably with the right people. This is the Pisces full moon at 7 degrees. 7 degrees is Libra. If you take my major arcana course, it's $9 in my website. You'll see it's $9, and it's the justice card. What can we do to balance the scales with these sensitivities? Understanding that Libra is a quincunx natural energy to Pisces. So Libra now has Mars in Libra. We have the South Node in Libra. Okay? So very quickly, Mars will reach that South Node. Understand what I'm saying? So this misunderstanding of relationships and boundaries and overgiving and giving to the wrong people and giving to the right people, but giving to the right people with expectations and not just to give from the purity of the heart. This is Pisces and quincunx relationship to Leo on the opposite side. Okay? So understand what I'm saying. When I bring this story full circle, it comes down like this. I'm like, okay. In the immediate moment, this is the quincunx now to Leo. Venus is in Leo. Our relationships, the values, how we measure and judge the love we're receiving, the appreciation we're receiving for taking a gentle approach, but a misunderstood gentle approach, because again, I did not reveal my intention to the affection that I gave. So what am I saying? When this comes back to me full circle, my partner's response never has been personal, and it can't be. Why? Because I did not clarify. I'm in this sensitive space right now. And I'm saying this, I as a male am in this sensitive and vulnerable space where when I look at it, the Virgo within me was talking. It's like, I feel sensitive about realizing how meticulous I am as a person. My entire life system, I'm coming to realizations as a part of this full moon in Pisces, how meticulous of a person I am. I am very just nitpicky, very routine, and almost so systematic that the reality is I didn't recognize myself as this. But as I began to shine this full bright light on that and realize what part of the programs in my life, my family dynamics, my conscious stream, my stream of consciousness around the areas I'm meticulous in. As I bring this in, I realize, wow, this is an insecurity of mine, because first off, I'm just discovering this. Okay, great. As I discover this, I now realize how awesome my partner has been with these things that I'm just discovering. AKA, my partner has always seen this. but this is my insecurity. It only really matters in a sense to me, right? So when I bring this full circle, and I had to give you that background context to help you better understand this Pisces full moon in a wholesome way. We now have the opportunity to embrace these insecurities with a very gentle touch, with a certain sense of tenderness, where we allow our identity and our attachment to what it means to be a male, okay? And I identify as a black male, right? So to be a black male who is considered by, let's just say, the social masses, the social media mass, I've heard so many, monsters, violent, insensitive, emotionless, call it whatever. All the things that I'm not. Because in reality, I'm compassionate, I'm sensitive, I love to be vulnerable. I've been vulnerable with the wrong people, and that has shaped and structured this false self. There's a dissociation, you see what I'm saying? Between what I'm programmed and told I am versus what I actually am. I am. Identity. Okay? And Pisces is coming in with this dismantling energy between Saturn and Pisces, the moon, full moon in Pisces, freaking Neptune in Pisces is dismantling, is disintegrating in a gentle way the attachment to who we were. And it's saying, hey, look, you have a very clear chance to see this mystery, see this revelation, and reveal yourself. Clean, pure, clear. Take the mask off and place it down gently and say, this is who I am. And the reason I share this background story is behind all of this, what comes into full fruition? The same things that I myself was criticizing and judging about myself, my partner is looking at them like, I very clearly understand these meticulous energies. And I'm not announcing anything about this meticulous nature because I want something to change. I'm announcing this because I'm saying I chose you regardless, knowing this, even though it's not my favorite part. It's a part of you. I care and love all of you. And so I chose to accept and embrace full-heartedly all of that. And so I'm almost like, what? Like I'm confused. Because what I begin to realize as I break all this down, what I'm saying is like, I myself have been trained and conditioned to embrace this as intolerable. And it's when I heard that voice that said, this is intolerable, I was like, okay, Pranal, you have a hugely transformative moment to step up and show out in a gentle way, in a tender way, with compassion, and announce this with vulnerability to say exactly that word, because that's the thought process. Bring that shadow out into the light. Embrace it as this is a shadow. Okay, great. Intolerable. Wait, what? I consider this intolerable? I myself had looked at this thing, this silent mystery, as an intolerable part of who I am. Wow, that sounds really mean. I even said to myself, like, it sounds like I'm bullying myself. Who is this bully in my head? So I had a chance, and I was like, okay, look, I'm going to take one more step. I'm going to take one more vulnerable step, and I'm going to now share that I recognize this word as, wow, this is intolerable. And I now share this with someone else. Projection, externalizing, okay? A thought, 7th degree, aka Libra. The misunderstanding, the quincunx in conjunction relationship to Libra. Mars in Libra, South Node in Libra. Okay, South Node what? South Node, bringing it up. Bringing out that hidden emotion. Bringing out that hidden thought. And allowing it to be placed to rest. Rest, Pisces. Allowing it to be surrendered, full moon, Pisces. Because it's like, I don't need that bully in my head anymore. That bully has prevented and stopped me from deeper forms of connection, intimacy, and love. It's tired out, it's played out. It's past life narrative. Right? It's past life. It's old. It doesn't belong here anymore. So when I see this, and I announce this now to my partner, right? 7th degree, Libra, partnership, communicating, vacillating ideas and thoughts, sharing them. Queen comes to Pisces, sharing them vulnerably, not superficially, not sharing them with an expectation, sharing them understanding that I'm in the dark here. This is a mystery. I don't know how you're going to respond when I say this to you. I have no idea. But I have a simple choice to trust that I'm sharing this with the right person, to trust my intuition, to trust my judgment, to trust the evidence that I'm sharing this with the right person, and that I myself am stable enough within myself that no matter how you receive this, no matter if I am rejected or feel rejected, even if I'm not rejected, that I've done enough work within myself as an individual before we met that I will stabilize. I can make this. I will, no matter what, be okay. I will not choose superficiality. I will choose deep levels of connection and intimacy, regardless of if others have or I have myself rejected myself. And so the wild revelation of this Pisces full moon, we have the chance to do this with a gentle touch, with a tremendous amount of compassion pouring and flowing abundantly into our heart, cleansing and clearing and adding in the fluidity that it takes to change 98% of a programmed behavior, a programmed process, a programmed expectation. And so by doing all of this, I'm completely shocked. I'm mind blown. I'm like, wait, what? This exact thing I'm criticizing, you're telling me that this is exactly why you love me so intensely, and you've recognized this already, and you've already accepted that this is who Pernell is. This is who I am. And you still say yes. Huh. I wish they would say, So wait, what? So wait, all my assumptions about how you might respond or how this is a signal or sign somewhere inside of me that I believe is a show of weakness, even if I don't verbalize it, I know some part of me feels like this is weak. But what part of me? And is it actually me? Or is this something I've learned to adopt generationally from all the males in our family, of how they respond to emotions, of how they respond to being sensitive, of how they respond to understanding tenderness and being gentle? Is that my response? It's like, no, it's not. It's not. It's not at all. I don't want to carry these emotions in my body. The energetics to this is ridiculously hindering. So this is what I mean when I say I'm sharing this link. If you would like to join this call, copy and paste that StreamYard, hop in. If you feel called to share this, a moment of tenderness, a mystery or a revelation that has honestly confused you, but now it inspires you, click the link. When I think Pisces, I think all is one, where my story is only my story. I can only share from a limited perspective. I can't share from a collective and expansive perspective. But what I can do is I can host you today, right now, if you're live on this, and I can say join. And I can say that no matter what, there's one thing I'm going to promise, that I'm going to make sure you stay safe. That you are safe. I don't have to know you. You don't have to know me. But if you feel like your story right now will help somebody and support somebody, copy and paste that link. You'll get on this side with me, and I'll add you into this stream. And if not, this is perfectly fine. For the time being, you can also just share that written in text, and then I can elaborate from there if it's not a time for you to be on video, and then I can elaborate from what you say written in text. So let me see what we got. I think we are weakest. I think where weakest is actually where we are strongest. Yes. Showing vulnerability is showing strength. Absolutely. I have been feeling this for a long time. I was like, true leaders walk in vulnerability. And I believe this with my heart. And this is just one of these moments today, live, of like, this is a fresh story for me. This isn't something that I've had a tremendous amount of time to process. This is fresh. This is new. My blood is still boiling in this mystery that I just shared. But who am I to come and say, lead in vulnerability if you're a leader, and then not do so? Exactly. You're not born with that negative narrative. Right. And I recognized, I was like, this is a bully. I was like, this is a bully. So if you want to join that link, all right, take the time to come in. In the meanwhile, I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to say, if you've been considering to dive tremendously deep, understanding there's 2 eclipses in October going into November between Libra, the degree we're talking about right now, the Queen constellation, to all is Pisces, when things really hitting home, okay? When all the Libra is in the sky, when the sun finally catches up. Check out this Innovators retreat. Join us. This is 44 seconds, and then I'll be waiting for you back on the other side. All right. So I see Alexander on the other side. I'm gonna join my man in right now. He's something. I see Alexander on the other side.
How's it going, homie?
Hey, what it do? What it do, guy?
You know what, man? You were actually speaking my love language right now with this whole thing. I understand. So, with you're talking about being gentle with addictions, like, so straight up, I'm a recovered addict. Like, I mean, I had a habitual speed habit for years, and now I'm sober. But one of the things that I was working on the last little while I was getting sober was that to be gentle. I was working through something. I didn't want to be an addict, but I was.
Sure.
And I was working through some deep stuff. So one of the things, you got the angel over here and you got the angel over there, right? It's like, I'm so dumb. You do. You're like, hey, cut that out. And because you got to be gentle with yourself, because if you don't stop that negative self-talk, you just keep spiraling and spiraling, right? It's like, oh, I'm so dumb. I'm an addict. I'm this and that. And then it just feeds you into more, oh, I'm so dumb. I'm so bad. So I'm going to use more. So this is the whole psychological feedback loop that we put ourselves in when we think this way, right? So this is kind of what I was just kind of getting at. So you have to like, this is the thing. I'm doing it. I don't like it, but you got to work through it. And that's how we do it, by being gentle, by being kind to ourselves, even though we're doing stuff we don't necessarily like. Why am I doing this? Well, that's hopefully it'll end. And I don't know.
No, I hear you. And one of the best things I've learned from Pisces energy, 12th house energy, is to respond sometimes with a simple, I don't know.
What is that saying? I don't know what I don't know that I don't even don't know. There's an actual Greek word for that whole concept. I think Plato or Socrates made it famous, but it's like, to know that you don't know is one of the first steps of like actual knowingness, right? It's like,
right. Yeah. I remember what I remember from part of it was, the only thing that I know is that I know nothing at all.
Yeah, right? And
Yeah.
that's when we hit that point of knowing, that's when we actually start knowing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
I'm also gonna recommend for you, like, especially
Mhm.
all the stuff you're talking about right now, you should really read Sandra Clow's book, uh the Rainbow Bridge. It's the Journey of Chiron, and it's all about, like, it's a lot more than just an astrology book. I unfortunately didn't get to finish it before my friend took it back. But um would be right up to, like, a lot of the stuff I've it helped me instrumentally in the whole, uh like you were saying, a leader, like, the reason why to lead is to lead by vulnerability is that a leader, a king, the lion cares not for, like, is the reason why being showing vulnerability as a leader or a king is that kingly sort of lion energy is because you, I fear not, I will show you my weakness. It's not a
Mhm.
weakness. I'm not scared of you. You can't
Sure.
use this as a weakness against me, right? So when we
Sure.
have that kind of, like, that energy, when you realize where you're weakest, because the thing you have to realize is that the world that we live in is twisted backwards, upside down, and inside out. So where we think that we're being pressed on by the universe, where we're
Mhm.
weakest is actually where we're strongest, because the world isn't the way we think it is. Like I said, it's, you have to, like, pull it back, and all of a sudden that is not where we're weakest. That's where people see it, because everyone is broken in some way, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's clocks are broken, they're just broken in different places. So
Mm.
when you're actually functioning properly and you pull yourself right side, you turn yourself right side up, pop everything back the way it is, where your weakest is where you're strongest, and
Mm.
show people that, because that's where they're going to attack you. You know where it's coming, right? So
Mm.
that's why a leader will show that. They, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it, that's not how it is, you know.
Well,
And that,
you know what I'm getting as you say that. You're reminding me of 8 Mile with Eminem.
yeah, right. No, here, tell them
Yeah.
something they don't know about me, right?
Right. Like right. He started it off with everything that everybody would have ranked on him for. They all would have bullied him into
Well, and that's why
submission,
he's the goat, right? In
and
that
that's what
movie,
made him the
right? Like,
goat.
you know, and that's just, and the thing is, like, to even be able to show that is, like, takes strength, it takes emotional uh fortitude. It's like,
Sure.
you know what I mean, like, a kind of emotional empathetic fortitude that most people are lacking, and to admit that you're lacking that is, a lot of people kind of, oh, I'm perfect, I'm this or that, is like, but you have to acknowledge your
Well,
shortcomings. Yeah,
well,
and
that within itself is the strength. No,
yeah, right.
it's like just admitting it. It's just like, because it just gets to this, like, right. You just get this little sign. It's like, all right, like, this is tiring. At bare minimum, through my reflections and introspection, I realize that this is tiring. So, what am I going to do differently? How am I going to change my perspective? How am I change the vision? And
Right, and that's the big thing, like, and to see where you are, and, like, you're like, all right, like for myself, for example, like, I'm I'm literally wearing a hermit, I've got the hermit on my back right now. You know what I mean? Like, legitimately, I know where I'm at. I'm I'm in a place of I'm in a transition spot, but I know that things are stationary right now, and they're gonna move. So
sure.
it's not to rush it. I know that it's gonna move when it does,
Mm-hmm.
and try and make sure I go where it is that I'm supposed to go. And I've been working on that. I've got plans for that, and
Mm-hmm.
I know where I have to go, and I know that when I come back from that place, it's gonna change.
Sure.
You
Sure.
you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. You said it perfectly. It's like we're all in a stationary spot right now, even if we don't accept that.
It,
It's just the reality. It's the collective reality. I mean,
it,
7 planets in retrograde. We're not
and
just stationary. We're like introspecting on what
oh,
already has
and this
happened.
is like mother's milk to me. I my charts, I think I have 6 planets in retrograde in my in my birth chart. I'm like, all right, this is good. I like this.
Beautiful. Yeah, Alex. No, thank you. I appreciate you very much for coming on here, taking the moment to
Yeah,
just
man.
be vulnerable. You know, I feel like that within itself, like the action you took today, one, you've inspired so many people who probably are not even on this live yet,
No, I
right?
was really apprehensive about like, do I do it and share? Like, but again, but like you're
So what made you do
speaking.
it?
Hmm?
What made you do it?
Um, because I'm good at talking. I have
Uh-huh.
your literally, well, I've already applied for the thing. We've already
Uh-huh.
been in contact, and
Sure.
like you're speaking something that actually relates to my personal story, to me as a human being, as an experience that I've already gone through. I
Uh-huh.
understand what it is you're talking about. And I remember when I was where you were at, and like that was a real big thing to take that vulnerability, put it, put that heart on, put your heart on the sleeve and
Sure.
and trust that it is impenetrable from any slings or arrows. Right. And like you've got to put a lot of faith in creator source to do that and in
Sure.
yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do that. That's what we're being asked to do, is to put it so it can be seen, so it can be right there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like, pew, and like, just let that let it bounce off, and like this is me letting stuff bounce off, like I don't know.
No, I hear you, and again, I just want to say thank you for taking the time. For coming on here. I want to open it for anybody else. Like, if you want to take the moment to just share a vulnerability, like Alex just did. I mean, he literally came out and started it with like, "Boom! I know I was addicted to speed, and here's the story and the path that it brought me through."
Not even that long ago.
It doesn't even get more vulnerable than that, right? It's like, but that him omitting that within itself already took away so much power away from that particular addiction. It's just like highlighting that I know this exists. I'm aware of this. And it's like simply highlighting that Fomalhaut, we talked about this a little bit, that fixed star is right on top of Saturn and Pisces. These addictions, Saint Archangel Gabriel is clearing. If you're willing,
And
especially if you're willing.
this is really important too, because one of the things is right opposite of Fomalhaut is his
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel's partner, as we would say,
Mm-hmm.
is Raphael, which is Regulus, which is the
Yep.
healer, right?
Yep.
So uh, Gabriel's also the messenger and is also the star of alchemy. So
Mm-hmm.
the alchemists and the healers are always go hand in hand, because the like you know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
alchemy and medicine go together. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, alchemists help make medicine, herbalists help alchemists. They usually one practices the other, and those two are related. So this alchemy that is happening with ourself, about transmutation of one thing to another, is about a deep-seated healing, right?
Sure. Sure.
Which is why healing is at the base of it, right?
Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people that are not familiar with what you just said. So if you want to elaborate on how that the Archangel Raphael and Gabriel, aka let's say Pisces and Virgo,
And
if you put
Leo.
Sidereal, and we'll leave the extra jargon out, but how
Yeah.
can you help walk people through how can they benefit from this?
Yeah.
What do you recommend that the audience listening puts a
Get
focus on during this harmony,
focus.
during this
If you
retrograde?
really want to focus on transmutating, first you have to heal. So like, so basically, if since the moon is above us, it's going to be above us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in the night sky. So below us is going to be the sun, which is where Leo resides. So our base, our core, at our, like, the ground we're going to stand on for this transmutation is gonna be personal healing, and at a divine level. This is what Raphael is asking us to do, because they're partners. They're brother and sister. You get what I'm saying? Like,
No, absolutely.
so for us to transmutate, to change from one thing into another,
Mm-hmm.
to from lead to gold, to from profane into divine,
Mm-hmm.
we first have to have a base in self-healing. Because if we want to help anybody else, a healer who can't heal himself can't heal anybody. you,
Right.
you, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
so for us to move into the realm of being healers of our neighborhood and our families and our friend circles and our community and then our country and our world, we have to first do that within ourselves, and then we can transmutate into, like, from a caterpillar into a butterfly, like, you know, it's the
Sure.
best analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But first, like, that caterpillar has to hermit, goes into its cocoon, right? There's a lot of solitude in that moment, you know what I mean? Like, to really undo the harms and poisons of the world that you've and others have inflicted on you, that you've allowed others to inflict on you, that you've inflicted on yourself. So to shed these off so you can get your wings, you have to go into the darkness of self
Yeah,
and shed the old you to be anew, right?
absolutely. For those of you who are in the chat, like I said, even if you're not ready to copy and paste that StreamYard link and come on here live and speak in, the way I thank Alex for doing as well, share what that addiction is that you're looking to transmute. You know, I'm a huge believer in, like, just announcing it, just saying it out loud, just letting somebody else know that it exists.
It's like
It puts an accountability to it, like it really puts like okay, this is real. I recognize this is real. I'm taking this from the illusionary space. I'm taking this from the metaphysical space, and I'm throwing it out into the earthly realms. I'm recognizing this from a Virgoan standpoint. This is what's so powerful about Virgo as a healer. It's like, you can bypass a lot of Piscean type stuff because you can't touch it, right? Like you can't touch it. You can just try to hug it and then you go right through it in a way. But Virgo is like, it'll keep changing, but you can hit that wall and you can announce it, and you can, like he said, alchemize it from the physical world and help it to match what the chemistry is from the metaphysic. So drop what that addiction is, shoot it out there out loud, and then watch how it no longer has power over you.
the big one I've been working on lately is swearing, trying to, like, correct my language, not use, like, swear as much, like F words, saying the S word, trying not to use, like, that kind of language, which is really hard. I've been a professional cook most of my life, so
I know how it is in the kitchen. I served for many years, a decade at least. So I know very clear how it was. I've worked in a lot of kitchens, and the chefs they swear the most, right?
oh, they were as bad as sailors.
Yeah, they swear the most. For me, it was a big thing as well with this YouTube channel. I remember in the beginning when it came to me, it was like, P, like, you don't have to swear on these YouTube channels. And they started taking away certain monetizations.
Yep.
Right? You're not getting certain ads, certain people who are swearing. And I was like, man, like, this is annoying. Like, you're taking away my freedom, yada, yada, yada. And then I just kind of like this Pisces energy, I just met it with more compassion. And I realized, like, if I expand my vision beyond what I perceive in the moment as a boundary, what is really going on here? And I realized, for me, just for me, that the swearing was masking at a different level this gentle nature, this sensitivity within me. It was me trying to put out a solid iron ore armor that,
Yep.
didn't want to
Yep.
let anybody come into that space where I was more vulnerable, softer, and rather be calm.
Right. For me, I used it as a mask to hide my intelligence. Right. I'm not the smartest dude on the planet, but I'm quicker than most. So, but, like, I would use, like, the whole thing, if you're swearing, you're uncouth, you're uneducated, or this or that, right? So one of the things I would use, like, I would downgrade my language so that people would underestimate me, so that way I could, like, think circles around them. Like, I could control the situation through language that way, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I've been there.
And it's another way of dimming your light, right? That's one of
Sure.
the other things we're being asked not to do right now with this whole,
Sure.
like, again, like, Saturn and Fomalhaut are talking, and they're planning out the next 30 years of the new Aquarian age, because the Aquarian age won't start again until Saturn, who's technically the ruler of Aquarius and Pisces, won't come around again for another 30 years, it's Saturn's return for which will be the actual beginning of what we would consider the true Aquarian age. Well, it comes back again. We're all in this whole new kind of like reset. And I lost my train of thought where I was going with that.
Fomalhaut, we're restarting. Okay,
Yeah.
The age of Aquarius is really going to begin 30 years from now. It's kind of an introductory period where some of those initial boundaries need to
we're
get
being
dissolved.
asked, all of us that are somewhat ahead of the game are being asked not to like take your mask off. Like you want to take your masks off. Stop with your certain things that you use as shields and like put on your real armor. Your real armor is who you are, right? Like trust, your real armor is the heart on your sleeve. Right? There's no slings or arrows, that there's no room for death in you. You know what I mean? It'll bounce off. Like their weapons are insignificant to harm us. And you have to trust in the creator for that to be powerful in our vulnerability, right?
I know as a kid growing up, like I've always resonated with the heart in the sleeve statement. I mean, it's just always who I've been. Like I've always been that person. And then there was that shift at a certain point, right? When I began to fear being rejected. And that's a lot of what this was about. Even when I look at these mysterious revelations, it's like, wow, how did I handle being rejected? And I handled it by cursing more, looking larger than life, but in a threatening way, where if you come at me sideways, you're in danger, right? Like, and just have a part of this aura, but it was a part of the mask. That wasn't my true self, like, right? And so I think this is really a lot of how it began. When I got deeper into the reality of it, it was like, wow, like I really care what people think. I really care what people how people felt about me. And instead of looking at that and hiding that, which for me was like the true weakness, if anything, that was the true weakness. It was taking that and hiding it and almost pretending that wasn't the truth. Right? That was where I was putting my veil of illusions up. And I was like, no, that's not true. Like, I don't care what people think. And when I started realizing, as I said that out loud, I was like, that doesn't sound true. Like, in fact, I do care what people think. I do care how people feel. And by me saying opposite, more and more, day by day, the more I said it, I began to dissociate from the reality of, but I did care. I still do care.
Humans are a social creature, and we will almost always care what people think, but we need to change the quality of the people whose opinions matter, right?
Exactly.
And
you just hit me.
Once you shift that quality of people, you can be like Pernell, I've been following you for a while. I like your opinions. I watch your stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your opinion matters to some things, but at some point I don't give a flying F what your opinion is about some things. Like, and your opinion might be correct. And I'm like, but I don't care. And I learned my lesson. And because we got to do that. But the point of the matter is, when you have people whose opinions are of a higher quality people whose opinions matter, when you're like, oh, well, you were right. And you're like, I told you, and they're not going to gloat about it, right? You know what I mean? Like, because they're like, see, I told you so. And like, because we don't need those kind of people, right? So when you start like elevating the kind of people whose opinions matter, your opinion of yourself goes up in vibration as well, right?
No, that's a fact. I've really been thinking about this myself. When I look at, like, if I think of the 7th degree again, considering Libra's impact and influence and that whole South Node, right? It's like, okay, there's a lot of questions of integrity, a lot of expectations of what was integral and what is integral in the relating space, an authentic relating space of, human to human interaction and contact, like right now, right? And when I really kind of put it back together, I realized, like, man, the quality of people who, in a sense, I gave more power than deserved, necessary, required, and ultimately completely out of alignment, right? Like, just not aligned with who I really was. This was the danger of the mask, right? Because I can only attract what I'm showing and putting out there. can only bring that back. But if I was doing that and looking to attract a quality of people who wasn't a part of who I really am, let's say heart on the sleeve guy,
Yeah.
I can't receive from the quality of people who help to raise that vibration. So it's really key that you said that. And this is where I feel like, when I look at bringing back a tender, gentle, and compassionate touch, which is a lot of what this formal message is about for me. It's like we got somebody else in the chat right now, and we're gonna add them in.
Okay.
And see what they got to say. But you feel free to sit there as well. Let me see if we're able to get the three of us in here. Okay, cool. Wow, look at that. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Beautiful,
All
beautiful.
right.
Let me see. Rakadija, did I pronounce that properly?
Yup, perfectly.
Okay, cool. What you got for us today? What's going on?
Well, I really just wanted to share a little bit about negative programming, and how it affects your thoughts and sort of like the flow of your energy.
Sure.
And it's something I was really thinking about it last night a lot. Like I just couldn't, like I could barely sleep because I was just like, there's a sense to this. There's a sense to this rhythm in which we think, we feel, we function. And whether you're dealing with the physical aspects of it or you're just dealing with like the emotional, the spiritual, mind, body, spirit, there are these three aspects to each one of us, and there's something that just sort of happens when you take a lot of negativity in from your environment. And even if you're sort of deflecting it, even if you're sort of blocking it off from penetrating into your being,
Sure.
there's still a need to recognize that it's not great for you or it's not good for you. And you can see that manifest in like your physical health, your mental health, the rate in which you can process trauma. And it's, I think these days people are becoming more open to recognizing what their parents sort of left them as like the legacy of, how they influenced you when you were a child. And your parents, they're kind of just your life for a good chunk.
Yeah, right.
A good chunk and beyond. And so if you have unhealed caretakers as a child, that reflects into who you are in your adulthood.
Sure.
And you can see a lot of the chaos and turmoil as you're going through your teenage years, especially if you go to like public school, where you're just trying to figure out who you are. You're like, I don't know who I am. Am I my caretakers? Am I these people? Like, do I identify with all these people around me here in the classroom? I don't know. And so that brings me to like this point of, once you go through like I guess like a tumultuous childhood, chaotic teenage years trying to find yourself, when you reach, it's almost like a marker on a timeline or just like a keyframe, I guess, if you do video editing, where you have to begin to have some kind of retrospective view on yourself, at what you've been through. And I really feel like life is never going to stop happening. And you are sort of just bound to reach a point in your life where you have to face your shadow side. You have to face what is unhealed. You have to face what is, things that are throwing you off balance. And I feel like that can bring a lot of insight as to what's really going on inside. What are you truly feeling? What are you truly thinking about? And how do those two have coherence? How does your mind affect how you feel, and vice versa? sometimes, and I don't want to go too deep into like an example of like a story, like a personal story. I'm very nervous doing this, by the way, guys.
So I'm gonna ask this. First,
Yeah.
one, you're a tremendous speaker. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but you have a natural,
No.
you have a naturally mesmerizing voice. I'm almost curious. Where's your Mercury?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Okay, it might be time to look into your astrology chart.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm a
Yeah.
in tropical, I'm a Pisces moon and I think an Aquarius sun. No. I'm getting confused because I'm nervous. I'm lying. I just told you guys a huge
It's
lie.
okay. Don't even worry about that. Like that'll come when it comes. I was just curious because you have a naturally mesmerizing voice. It's obvious that you have a lot of stories to tell, and so to take it away
Thank
from
you.
absolutely, to take it away from like the logistics or like the precision. If you look at this full moon in Pisces and you do look at it from a personal standpoint, because I feel like personal stories, the ability that we have where a stranger can now just like that, just one click, come onto the channel here right now.
Yeah.
is unheard of in a lot of ways. Like, this is a very new reality that our parents, like, none of them could actually do.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so I think this is a marvelous opportunity where and see, look right here, you're saying strong voice. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have a great voice. You really do.
Thank you, guys.
Bet it's an Aquarius.
It might be Aquarius. You think it's Aquarius?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my Vedic is Aquarius sun and then Pisces moon.
No, I was talking about your Mercury.
Oh, my Mercury might
Your
be in
Mercury is
Aquarius. It might be. I have a lot of aqua.
I'm gonna strongly. I'd put money on that.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking it could be Aquarius, but I also wouldn't be so surprised if it was Pisces.
Fair.
Fair.
That's funny you say that, because in tropical mine is in Pisces, but in Vedic mine's in Mercury, or is in Aquarius. So, which is why I was like,
yeah, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised. The reason I say it is because Rakadija, you had there was a pull. I'm not going to go too crazy off into it because that's, I want to try to get people to really benefit from this, but there was this mesmerizing pull, and it's the storytelling aspect, which is that Jupiterian feel, right? So it then makes me wonder, like, where's your Jupiter? If it's Pisces, it then makes me wonder, where's your Jupiter? Because then, right, if you had a Mercury in Pisces and then Jupiter is that ruler of the storyteller, there's something magical there, but that's a different story. So if you think for yourself, what was once a mystery inside of you that you met with force, that you find during this full moon, you're now meeting with a gentle touch?
Well, for starters, feels weird. I've never shared this story publicly. I've never really talked about it with anybody who is, they're into spirituality or astrology, etc. Like, I'm pretty fresh into this. I kind of woke up like a year or two ago. So, all right, here's my crazy story. My mother, she used to, as a child, she would channel with angels, specifically with Raphael. And it was a story I was told when I was younger, like when I was a kid. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really know what to make of it. I was going sort of through like traditional church, I guess, where it's like you just sit and you listen, and then you guys can choose to go talk badly around your community, like tell other people how they need to go to church. That kind of like, there's just like a pack mentality to the religious experience that I had. And honestly, it taught me a lot. It taught me a heck of a lot about how to sort of find your place in the world when it comes to, your calling, what makes you feel alive. All right, my cats are gonna interfere with this story, so enjoy
My
that.
cat be doing the same thing.
Oh my goodness. And so once I started to have experiences, I guess, just with like weird stuff, with paranormal stuff, or just things that hi, things I didn't quite understand. I would go to my mom and she wouldn't really share with me, like she wasn't able to give me advice. There was always this aspect to her of it's a frightening thing to open up to people about spirituality, to open up about who you are. And it's something that I really held on to for a long time. I kind of felt upset by it.
Yeah.
I felt like, why is my mom like this? Like, I'm her kid. I'm her kid. She should be able to share these cool, crazy coincidences and like spiritual experiences and give me advice along those lines. She has all this cool stuff happen to her, but she doesn't talk to me. And I would sort of just make my connection with my mom a connection of lack, just simply by not understanding. There was deep-seated fear. And like I told you guys about, or like the religious experience I had,
Sure.
for her, and she's like, she's older than I am, same area where we grew up, it was so much worse.
Mm.
And so I was putting a lot of, I'm going to say disappointment, but it's more just, it's misunderstanding why somebody might hold on to something or be too afraid to share something. And recently, as I've been going, and I'm just going to fast forward out of nowhere. As I've been going through my slow, gradual awakening process, trying to reconnect with my roots, doing the shadow work, and that's a whole thing that I could talk about, but it's rough. My mom and I started to form that connection that I was always missing. I was missing it forever. And in us opening up to each other, in us both like conquering our fears, our own mentality, like she finally got therapy. She never had therapy before in her whole life. And that's just something she needed for trauma work. And as she's healing, as she's sort of just like working on these dark aspects of her life, these dark memories, thoughts, like her own patterns, as she's healing, my connection with her gets so much stronger. And now, I only just found out that she channeled with specifically Raphael. And every little bit of information that she gives to me, that she shares with me, it's like our experiences almost, there's something synchronistic about them. They heal, I mean, it's like mother-daughter stuff, but it's also just like there's something healing alongside another person, especially a person, like a family member, someone you've known for a long time, who needed to do the work on themselves. I don't know if that was a cohesive story.
It's the healing of ancestral memory and other like through other, like, this is a karmatic thing that's probably that you and your mom have done over like other iterations of this relationship you've had. So the reason why you're like, I don't really know how to explain it, because we don't really have a language to explain like the fact that we're multi-dimensional, multi-temporal entities, right? So you are coming into that understanding of that, hey, I exist in multiple times and spaces.
Yes.
And we don't have the proper language in English as because probably that's how it's designed. But the fact that you find you don't, I don't know if I don't have the proper language, you're doing really well. And it's your healing and ancestral harms that have come through, and so is your mom, and you're doing it together, right? Because that's what we're here to do, is like to undo these long running karmas, and that ends with us,
Yes.
because we're moving into the new age.
Yes.
I highly recommend for you. I don't know if you do much with crystals. I would highly recommend Numite. It's especially if you're doing like a lot of like deep shadow work, because once you start getting past shadow work, we're going to get into like soul recovery, like how do you claim back pieces of your soul that have been fractured off. Because like the best way to explain soul recovery is, because a lot of people think this is me. Hi, this is me, but this isn't me. This isn't me. This is me.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? So how whatever they are, it doesn't really matter who the enemy is, the alien, cyborgs, it doesn't matter, right? So what they do is they try to like cut off, and they put it over there and make a battery out of it or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Like, get hell. What pick your metaphor. It doesn't matter, right? So their separation is an illusion.
Yes.
Right? So soul recovery is being able to take your finger back and putting it back on. And I think for you, that really helpful would be Numite. You would Numite's a wonderful stone. It's also called Sorcerer's Stone, and it is
Archangel Michael?
Numite is a wonderful stone, and it would help you, would benefit you very, very much, I would think, in your journey of like self.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, no worries.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. I can attest to Numite myself. I've worked with it at mostly 2 years ago. Heavy, like a lot, to the point where like I was isolated in the middle of Arkansas with a town of like less than people, right? So the energy was it was pretty much non-existent. Like there was no one there. Like all I had was the forest and time, like in silence. Like there was nothing. Yeah. There was nothing. There was one road in the whole town, and that was a time when I was working with Numite, and I can attest to like the soul recovery that he's speaking about. The shards, in a sense, like being picked up and remerged together. The shards of my own soul, that those parts that were fractured,
fractalized.
Exactly. Different parts of my identity that I've just like forsaken, you know. And I can just attest to it. I still have it. And to be honest, I lost it for a long time after that work. And I just found it like a couple weeks ago. It just came back.
Funny how that works, right? You find it a couple weeks ago and all this is start rolling, right?
I just found it a couple weeks ago.
Not for like, it's one of those stones that
you don't jump into Numite. That's the key thing. You don't, if you've never done any healing with crystals, and it's not your first stone. I'm not sure if you're familiar with crystals, but it's not the first stone you do. It's very dense.
The first one I started working with selenite, and then I have a bunch of amethyst. So I'm gonna think about Numite.
Yeah, those are great beginnings. They're much gentler. All right, there's less ways to go wrong, quote unquote.
Yeah. Angelite's really nice too. That's what I've got. I've been holding through this whole time talking. Angelite's really nice, really powerful, really soft. It's one of the most active soft stones. Like you're like, whoa, okay, chill.
What I want to say is, Jamie, I see Jamie joined in, and I also see Julianne. I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Julianne. I see Julianne. She really, I think this is for Rakadija. She 1,000% identify with your story, you know, as a mother of a son who had a very similar experience, and that's still currently ongoing. For me, this whole call, having people right now that I've never met in person, right, come onto this call and share, and be able to host something where this is possible. To me, this is the Pisces formal magic of we're all one, right? We all have very widely different backgrounds. I think this is the most obvious thing. But there's still synchronicity of others who are watching it. We have a mom right now who you're the son of a mother, and this is a mother who has a son, where we have no idea what we've done in her life. But to have that perspective, in a sense, of her own son, but from a stranger, where she can come back to her son and realize where the compassion and the gentleness can pour into that dynamic. This is the power of just going ahead and taking a risk and doing something you just feel called to do, rather than trying to logically think about, should I do this? This was the magic. So I just want to say thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for like creating that opportunity, because if you didn't get on, she may not have evolved her karma with her son. And so that within itself, you pouring into that cup of a stranger without any expectation of return. And this is what Pisces is about in this instance. Mm-hmm. Your relationship with your mother and the multidimensional aspects of the relationship between the soul contract y'all had together, they're going to completely begin to surrender and free up a lot of space. So don't be surprised if you just warp into a completely new version of yourself overnight, because it's not going to be overnight. If you're going to realize it's not going to be overnight at all. You've done a lot of work to get here. And there's something that I just like, before I give it to Jamie to share what this revelation, this Pisces full moon revelation is for her. Okay, what mysteries have been coming up in relationships and more with her. What I want to say is, it's so much more than you only woke up a year ago. How old are you, out of curiosity?
I'm 29.
Word. So it's like, it's so much more than you just woke up a year ago. One of the things I've been really want to say is like, there's no race in this awakening process. And I just want to remind everyone listening that it's not something that anybody has to force. It's not something that anybody has to study a certain amount. You right now may be wiser and have lived 1,000 more lifetimes than all three of us on this call combined. And the reality is, we never know that.
Nope.
So I just want to kind of like put that in the framework of mind of like, I hear a lot of people speaking about it, and I want to always remind them that the younger you are and the earlier you're waking up in comparison to what everyone else has been, let's just say, usually the older you've always been. And the thing is like, it's not a race. It's not a competition, right? And you think about it, it's not a competition. And this is not for you as much as for everybody listening. It's not a competition to where you are in your spiritual journey. Because what may seem like you're just there and only 1 year old all over again, by this time next year, you might honestly become our mentors.
It's so gradual. It just picks up space. It picks up intensity. When you're ready to work on yourself in that, in that sense, it kind of just comes to you, and it's all like a flow. It's all just like a gradual.
It's gradual, but it's also exponential too, right? So it's like 1, 2, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. And all of a sudden, but it's a gradual, it's a natural movement, but it's exponential once you start going into and you flow with it. All of a sudden, you're like, whoa. Like,
yes.
Like, how did I climb that mountain?
Exactly. Right? This is what's key. This is what I hope everybody understands this, because it's like, again, let's just say you live 15,000 lifetimes already. You may have just reawakened, and this is the key, not just awakened, reawakened a year ago. But when people wonder, and you overnight become a master astrologer or Akashic reader, and people wonder like, or they say, how long you been practicing Akashic records and doing readings? You say only a year. One day you'll realize, no, you've done this 15,000 lifetimes. And it's not just a year. So I want to give Jamie this chance to kind of share what she's going through and what these revelations look like. Jamie, if you have that space, thank you for coming on here. Thank you for the bravery. Thank you for the courage. This is impromptu. What mysteries have been revealing themselves, whether in your relationship dynamics, in your workspace, entrepreneur, with certain karmic contracts you've had? What is revealing on this Pisces full moon?
So it's revealing to me, like, let me see, how do I say this? As far as my relationships go, there's been like a stagnancy in my relationships. Um, and far as one in particular, because there's a blockage within me, and I have had an unhealthy pattern of taking it out on him. But it's really something that I have to take care of, and it was just revealed to me. um as far as money,
Mm.
I'm expecting, this. I've had this fantasy in my head of like, I'm gonna have all this money and da da da, but I can't. I haven't been saving money. I've been like spending money like crazy, and it's causing a problem in the relationship because it's my problem. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, I can't expect both of us to flourish financially if I'm not even doing that myself. So that's just one big thing that's been revealed to me is yeah, that.
So I'm gonna pause. I'm
Hmm.
gonna use this opportunity because I feel like it's rare.
Okay.
Between Rakadija and Alexander, is there anything the two of you feel called to contribute to what she just said? And I'll leave it open.
Honestly, it's the first step. You acknowledge it, and that's really the thing you have to realize is that acknowledging what you're doing. You're like, I need to save. I had these ideas, these illusions, and see them for what they are, so you can actually address them. Before you can change anything, you have to recognize that that's what you're doing, right? Like, how I stopped my negative self-talk was every time I noticed stop.
Hmm.
Okay, and then since I can't stop saying all the bad things I was gonna say about myself, I turned it into a song. I'm a big dumb head. I changed the frequency, right? So now that I'm at work or doing whatever it is, instead of like singing, instead of like talking like, oh, I'm so dumb, I'm fat, I'm old, I'm this, I'm like, now I just sing a song to myself. I just don't even have the words. I'm like do 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 do
Hmm.
do, because I changed the frequency of it, and slowly, once again, you can't just stop ingrained behavior that you've been doing your whole life or even multiple lifetimes. You can't just change it overnight. You mean some people can, but those people are not me. Anyway, so if you slowly change it over time, but the first step comes in an acknowledgement of that, of what it is that you're doing wrong, right? They're like,
Hmm.
oh, you're like, this is me. So how do you change that, right? So now you got to figure out how to do that, right? But the first
Yeah.
step is acknowledging that this is what you're doing.
Hmm.
So that's my 2 cents.
Well,
Rakadija,
thank you.
anything?
And yeah, there's so much power in acknowledgement. It helps you to have sort of a fixed thing to look at. Like it help when you recognize something like a certain pattern within your life. You give it a name, and you start to understand, how does it make you feel? How does it make others feel? But most of all, just all the effects that branch off of maybe like a bad habit. I have bad habits I'm always working on. I'm not good with money. I'm not good with money. Oh dear, I'm not. But
Hmm.
like even then, like just to be out here, just to be out there with yourself. We're all four of us here. We're just in this moment, and everybody who's watching this stream and who's going to watch this video in the future, we're all in this together.
Mm.
And so there's just this method. You kind of recognize it even if you don't have a name for it. You just bundle everything together that goes into, like, this is the stuff, this is the core of, maybe, I don't know, like how the negative pattern, or like again, it's just like the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions that come with a behavior.
Hmm.
And you don't have to look at it as like,
Okay,
um
so I guess I understand what you're saying. Like, I kind of feel like my lack of money management is kind of like me rebelling against Saturn, almost like having to have structure. And I'm just like, well, I'm just going to go do whatever I want because I don't really feel like dealing with the intricacy of, money management, because you really do have to be structured, and you really have to like what do I want to say? Like, you just have to be on it. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. And I just haven't. I've just been kind of like, I've been really in Pisces energy my whole life when it comes to money, just thinking that it's going to come from wherever, you know, but realistically, I really need some structure in it. And I feel like that's just going to allow me to, I don't know, it's just going to release a big energy. Just the way I just took that breath right now. I just feel like it's going to just really bring some flow into my life, you know?
I would like to touch back onto what I'm sorry, what's your how do I say your name again? Rashada? Anyways, so the ball you were talking
Rockadija, no?
Rockadija, sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Rockadija. So one of the things about taking like ownership of our things, right? So a lot of people do is they take stuff, they're like, oh, I'm going to put this in my subconscious. You know what your subconscious is for? Your subconscious for being able to stand for breathing, our neural system, our lymphatic system. This is what, and you can, if you meditate and you can bring down your heartbeat, you can control these things that are in your subconscious. That's what the subconscious is for. It's not for, it's for the day-to-day running of certain things, but people don't want to take accountability for this stuff. So they're like, I don't know why I did that. It's like when you notice you're doing things, we take accountability for our actions or our bad habits. We're like, oh, hey, we take that out of our subconscious and we put it over here and we take ownership of it. And as we take more things out of our subconscious shrinks back up into its normal size because we don't have it full of other things that aren't supposed to be there. And our super ego or super consciousness expands and we have room for other things because we're taking stuff out of where and putting things back to where they belong, and we take ownership for our stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I just wanted to relate this. I did describe the ball a bit better.
Yeah, you definitely did. You definitely did.
Right? So that way, when when we start moving from our higher consciousness or super consciousness, we have other things, like synchronicities work better. We start, things flow better, right?
Yeah, like the external world starts to make more sense when you work on these things, when you find these things that maybe in the moment they feel amazing, they feel wonderful. But in the future, it can bring in more of what you're trying to elevate away from.
Yeah.
And it's extremely awesome that you would share this with all of us. I feel like just in going beyond just like the text chat and just telling everybody like, I got this thing that I'm dealing with. Here's what it is. And also you seem to be recognizing it. You seem to be working on it. You seem to be doing well. There's aspects of what you said where it's just like, you're going for it.
Yeah, it's like if I don't deal with this now, I know it's going to kick my ass. Like, these are just things that are coming up that you can't hide from yourself anymore. It's like spirit is talking to you loud and clear, and you just better listen because you're going to pay for it. So I'm listening.
So if you mind, I feel like I can contribute in, and it kind of goes a little bit towards Jillian Forster's comment. And I'll read this out loud. So if you mind, I can give some feedback on what you originally asked. So I wanted to kind of add and include Alexander and Rakadija in this to get an outside perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
So boom, she says money management can be very consuming. I agree, right? I started logging everything every day and, seeing what she spends for a month. And if she goes ahead, she plans on gaining more clarity when she looks back at it to see things like, what are the obvious things and where can it go, right? So when I see this, I think about myself, right? I have not always been good with money management, and that was a lie. So step one was recognizing that I lied to myself. Like, that was what I believed. I remember thinking 6 to 7 years ago, like this literal thought, I was like, man, do I have holes in my pockets? I felt like that. I was like, do I have holes in my pocket? I was like, because even when I was making money, I feel like I didn't have money. Now, there are multiple things. You're a Scorpio rising? No. Okay, so let's say your second house, your earning potential at Sagittarius. I have the same. right? Earning potential in Sagittarius is completely explosive. Like, you could spend a crap ton of money and you can make a crap ton of money. It can go either or. It usually goes both, back and forth, right? Where I know that's been how my bank has been. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but I want to bring some stability to this, right? Like, how did I do this? And what I didn't realize was I was buying experiences. And you can't calculate that. So if I think Sagittarius, for example, when I say, this is an experience, you can't calculate the worth of an experience based off of what your bank account is reflecting.
Right.
And so the whole Pisces full moon, I know you missed the beginning of it, was about how can we be gentle and be tender with the things that we once considered a weakness. So let's say that I once considered my financial stability a weakness. Now, I literally looked at it, I was like, man, why do I feel like I have holes in my pocket? Why do I have friends who are like, damn, I got, almost 100K here, 50K here. I'm like, damn, these are all my friends. These are all people around. You hearing these laws of attraction of you are what you eat. All of these people around me have these, God knows figures in their banks, 6-7 figures sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Let's say wrong now, and this is a weakness. Where am I falling through the cracks on this? Right? Like, if these are the people that I'm actually around, where am I falling through the cracks? And I realized that I wasn't falling through the cracks, and I wasn't being gentle enough with myself. I'm buying experiences, while these same people were storing that money for whatever they used it for or not. I was flying all over the world to many different countries. I was in backwoods meeting many healers, many random travelers from different countries and cultures, eating foods that would be considered exotic to my homeland, but native to the next. And when I looked at it like that, I'm like, wow, even though my bank account stayed basically the same, every year it seemed like I never grew. The reality was my experiences kept racking up.
Right. I'd feel that.
And that's what I wasn't accounting for. Accounting, money management, I wasn't accounting for the experiences as a Sagittarius second house.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where what I saw as a weakness, in a sense, was truthfully a strength. And Alex said this earlier in the call. Because what happened over time, those experiences that I was buying, those flights that I was buying, the foods that I was trying, what I didn't realize again at the time was food was energy. So when I eat food from Mexico or Cambodia or Thailand, I'm taking in the actual energy of those cultures and the people who didn't prioritize money as a form of happiness. They prioritized something entirely different than the money that it costs to eat the food or to get on the motorbike and climb the mountain. It was the experiences that I was pouring energetically into my body. You came to the retreat here in Mexico last year.
Mm-hmm.
That cost you money.
Right.
If I'm familiar, the ticket last year was double the price as this year. It was like $5,000 in comparison to this year's ticket, which is $2,500.
Right.
So essentially, you put $5,000 that is not necessarily in your bank account,
but it's paying it off.
Yeah.
But it's paying off. And look, you're 1 year later, and you recently told me what?
What, that I'm coming back?
Well, you said that as well. Right? And you already, she already put her deposit in for the next retreat, right? So she's coming here to Mexico again. And so the irony of this is what? That money is accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
It's not reflecting in the way you've been conditioned that it should, aka in your bank account.
Right. I never feel broke. I always feel like, I just feel like I have, I just feel like I can get money whenever I need it, and for what I need it for, and it always does come.
This is exactly what I mean. And so, whose voice is telling you that you're doing money the wrong way? Outside. And how can you meet that with compassion? That's this full moon.
Got it.
Whose voice? Because remember, Pisces is that subconscious programming. So whose program exactly is that?
Exactly. I'd be like, I have everything I need. If I want something, I can get it. Like, why am I beating myself up so hard for not having, $75,000 saved up or whatever, So yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing me that clarity. That makes me feel so much lighter on myself, because I really have been like, I'm going to save this and I'm not going to spend $1 and I'm but I don't roll like that.
And it doesn't say that that's bad. It doesn't say that it's not helpful. Because if I give the full story, right, this was 3 years of my life that I was traveling hard body, like no home base. Eventually I started craving that home base. Eventually I started craving different forms of stability, right? But during this time frame, my money went into these investments of my experiences. And those experiences is what made me feel safe, secure, and happy to settle in one place, which is Mexico at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Where about a year ago, I just said a live the other day, for a year, I've been in XL, and I'm on vacation right now. This is the irony of this call. I'm on vacation. I'm not sure if anybody, I'm literally on vacation. Like, this is just how much I love what I do in general. Like I have no reason to do this. This is not even my computer. This is my iPad. Like, when I do this, I'm normally on my computer. I can't share my screen. The iPad version of this is so limited, right? I have no tags on this video. I don't even know if there's a description in there. I did nothing but press live. That's it. Like, this is almost an unofficial document.
I was like, did I miss something? Okay.
Right? And so
this came out of nowhere.
Okay.
So here's the irony of it, right? Before I came on this vacation, I got in my Excel sheet, and about a month ago, I realized, oh my God, I've been doing this for more than a year. And the irony of it is, I've only been writing my expenses. I have not been writing my incomes. So this is just the irony. But that was the step that I needed. One step to say, okay, look, I need to just focus on this. This is not a natural thing for me. There's a part of me that's like, I don't care about this. It's tedious. It's annoying. I don't like it. It's just earthly, and it just pisses me off, right? Mm-hmm. But the reality is, it's like, that's the one step I needed, is to focus on my expenses, and simultaneously I understand that I have my platform where I can just print one sheet that'll show me every expense per month, based off of the system I'm using, which is Buy Me a Coffee. There's nothing to hide. There's full transparency. I'm using Buy Me a Coffee for all services. So all money is on this one platform that I'm not really managing. They're doing it for me. I can look at my Stripe account and I could see all this. So theoretically, it's not hard to just add that in. But that's probably going to be this year forward, where 1 year from now, that's my next step. That's step 2. Now, I'm not going to just add the expenses, which almost makes no rational sense to me to only add the expenses. It seems debilitating as I say it out loud. Like, why would I not want to add the income? I don't know, but that's what I did. This is Pisces energy. It's nothing about it is logical. It doesn't have to be. But it's what I needed to take a step in financial literacy. Because like Jillian has said, as I did that, I began to realize, what am I spending money on? And I was like, yo, I'm eating out way too much. Where prior, I never ate out. I was the cheapest person. I did not take myself out to eat ever. I was like, no, this is stupid. That's literally what I said. And then eventually I started changing my mind, changing my perception about eating out, and realizing it's an experience that I can't take back. There are people that I can meet at cafes that I can't meet if I only work from home. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, so I work primarily from cafes now, and now I hate working from home. But I had to learn over time, why was I doing it? Oh, South Node and Cancer. Never left home. But again, each one of these steps I'm telling you is process. It's a step, one step. And through all of this, as I'm reflecting and talking to y'all now, this is just the truth. This is the reality of financial literacy as I work North Node towards Capricorn, towards a method. It's a step-by-step process to climb the mountain. That's just me. But it's a step-by-step process to climb the mountain. This year, new goal, I need to add my finances in with, and on the other, because I even have the column. I have a column in my Excel sheet that says income. There's an entire system that would weigh it out for me at this point that my partner helped create. I have a whole pie wheel that would say, here's what you're spending, 15% on transportation, 25% on food outside, 10% on groceries inside, blah, 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 travel, vacation, the whole thing. My cat has his own expense. It costs monthly, right? And yet I don't have in there any of the income that would complete that wheel. But this is earth energy that says, brick by brick, take practical steps, be reasonable with yourself. This is not where you've come back born as an expert. You are growing to become the GOAT in exactly this, finances and earthly matters. But that's a process. So when I think of this Pisces moon, the revelations, at least that I have to share with you through my experiences, if the revelation seems like, what's the smallest step to take? Practically speaking.
Acknowledging it. Step
Boom.
one.
That's the step.
Right.
That's the step. Because I can promise you, when I did acknowledge this, it still took me like 2 years to begin.
Yeah.
But in that acknowledgement, there were these undiscoverable steps that I did take before the Excel sheet. And it was chaotic. I was doing it, but on paper because I'm a dinosaur. Right? Like flat out, I'm a dinosaur. I was writing my expenses on paper, and it was crazy when it came time because I still own a business. I still got to report this stuff. So every time it was the new year come around, I got to start reporting this stuff. I'm trying to look for these papers, and it was that annoyance. I got annoyed as hell. I got to report it. I got to report my taxes. Point blank period. I have an official business. And I would have to go and try to find this stuff. And I'd realize, man, and I'm talking to my tax guy, and he's like, well, do you have your cell phone expense? And I was like, no. He's like, well, do you have the paper that it took for you to print out your files? I was like, no. He was like, well, you run retreats? I was like, yes. He's like, do you have your hotel expenses and those receipts? I was like, no. And he's like ripping me apart in the tax thing. And I'm like, my whole heart is just like, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm about to have an aneurysm. He's asking me questions that I've never considered, right? And I'm realizing how much money that I lose on tax breaks and cuts for things that I'm buying. All I cared about was my dream. Part of my dream is running retreats all the time, full time. I'm doing it, but I wasn't implementing those grounded steps. And it took that painful Saturn guy, aka my tax man, to tell me all the money that I lost by not accounting, for me to go, oh my God, like this hurts, like just make it stop, like I just want to get out of here. I was even late to I was past due on the tax thing because of fear. Like I got there after April. In May, I wasn't even in the country. And I'm like, yo, is it possible to make this happen? And it took all of that annoying, mundane, I don't care about these steps, for me to realize how much did I lose out on that was just a blessing, and start having to meet people abroad that says, and tell these vulnerable stories of I suck with taxes. And they're like, what? I hate taxes. And they're like, what? What do you mean? And they're like, I love taxes. And they give me so much money. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, this is debt, right? And you start learning the whole get rich, poor dad story, and how being in debt is a benefit, of how taking loans out against and having to refinance these loans and refinance these payments. Jay-Z, $200 million home with Beyonce, they're paying nothing on these things. Donald Trump, they're paying nothing. They're openly saying, I'm paying nothing. When all of us, these everyday pedestrians, silly as we can be, are blindly getting booty raped, financially speaking, simply because this is not the education that they give us. The reality is now we can go and read a book. You can vulnerably share that I suck with taxes, and then come back and say, okay, no, you know what? Like, I don't need to bully myself. I don't suck with taxes. I just was never taught, but I have the potential to learn today. That's what this Pisces full moon is about. It's about coming back with a gentle touch and say, I don't suck. In fact, I just never learned. No one taught me. Period. But I have Google. I can download a free PDF today on how to become rich, on how to 10x my money, on how to operate in the world of taxes, of how to make money in my sleep. We all have this ability now. Every single person. There's no longer an excuse to suck. But admitting that, acknowledging that, like you said, it's your first step. It was my first step at a certain point, and then I told you some other steps that came after that. And these are year by year by year by year, and a crap ton of fear. I was terrified. And then eventually I actually started to make money. And then I was terrified to tell people I was making money. I was like, oh, I just want to keep this, to myself. Like, I don't want anybody to like tell me that I'm doing something wrong. But shelling myself off from the world, especially in terms of money, staying quiet when I actually begin to make money, was not the path. I'm just telling you that from my personal experience. Because now, today on this call, I actually can use these experiences, use where I was shy, use where I had anxiety, fear, and worries about money, and say, today, I'm not afraid anymore.
Yes.
Today, I want to help other entrepreneurs go through this journey because it is terrifying. Mm-hmm. And I know how. And people come to this retreat, I'm giving them the freaking how. I'm telling you, I want you to come be a sacred innovator. And part of being a sacred innovator is not just being a wizard, a magician, and a fairy. All those things are possible, not just to be a dragon and God knows what else. Because all those things we are. But we also operate on Earth. And so to do it here, there's a way that works for us to do it still in alignment, still with purity, still with integrity, and to happily charge what we know we're worth, and to not bat an eye. I still have fears, right? September 5th, the next payment is due for all the people coming to the retreat. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on vacation. Like, it's like the voice is like, how can I be on vacation? And crap, like, I should at least give them a warning a week out that next week the payment is due. I'm like, damn, like, I'm not even going to be back from vacation until less than a week. I didn't have the time to tell them that yet. And now I feel bad that I didn't have this set out in advance. Like, this is the truth of what is going through my head. And then instead I was like, you know what, P? Step back. You're on vacation. Why did you come on vacation? Because you needed to rejuvenate. You needed to respect that you're 7 retrogrades deep and that you are like a professional healer. Like, you're doing so many people all the time and it never ends. And it's not going to end a week later either. And it's not going to end 6 months from now when all retrogrades are done. It's just never going to end. This is a constant earthly process. You'll get there. Period. You will get there. And you will get there more effectively, more efficiently, and more clearly if you allow yourself this vacation. Period. To rejuvenate. To get in the ocean and just chill. And I feel much better when I say it in this calm fashion. I'm like, yeah, that's actually true. Like, it won't matter. Even if I'm a week late, it won't matter. It won't matter. Matter of fact, you already put this and you set these clear guidelines out up front. So you don't theoretically have to worry about this. And yeah, sure, you're going to be ahead of it the next month in October when the next installment is due. You'll be on point. Brick by brick, step by step, practicality. In real life, on Earth, things happen. Interruptions occur. Vacations and rest is necessary. Period. That's the reality. That's the reality. So hopefully that was a really long-winded, drawn-out thing. I just feel like it really was something that just felt like it needed to happen for so many more than who's the 4 of us on this call. And that's what it felt like. So I said it. But hopefully that brought some clarity on how to just be kind with this process with you and your son. and realize that you have an opportunity to teach him a new program in this life with the actions you take today, tomorrow, or the day after that.
And it's a really important to be gentle with yourself through it all. If you can find just like a little bit of time every day just for yourself, just to breathe, even if it's just 10 minutes, and it can help you feel so much better, especially if you make it into a routine for yourself. Just time for you to be kind to yourself. You're building up to what sounds like a wonderful experience, right? And so, you want to be able to keep yourself relatively grounded as you wait for that bigger release, that larger experience, the one that's really gonna boost your battery, etc. But day to day, there's things that you can do that will bring you little bits of relief, or joy, will bring you clarity. And I would say that, yeah, you're valuable. I would say that you are important. You're just as important as everything else happening around you. Like, you are. It's fundamental that you recognize, how do I say, like, a lack of being at fault, and more so just being human. Maybe I just said it. Maybe I just said it without. And it's like, when it comes to financial situations, and this is just from my experience, everyone's is different. Just a small, like, I really don't know how to explain it. It's like, life can bring you to a point, or like bring you to one point on the overall graph here, where you're just like, maybe I'm getting like anxious and nervous and stressed out about I'll just say finances in particular, for lack of a better word, like, oh my goodness, I'm not sure how to word it. I'm not sure how to phrase it. When I got nothing.
Breathe.
Okay.
Take your time, and I think I can feel where you may have been going. Okay, let's look at this rationally for a second. Taurus is in Jupiter, money, planning for the future of money, and how we earn it. Taurus is earning potential. It's not even just the money itself, it's the potential to earn it, right? Specifically second house, but whatever. And then Uranus, Taurus, wild revelations in the whole money sphere, specter, finances, how we go about the methods to accumulating it, the methods to earning it, our higher consciousness informing how we earn it. Literally, God telling you that your bank is okay.
Yeah.
Like, this is the simplicity of Uranus and Taurus. God is like, look, I own your bank account. I tell you when you make this next move. I tell you when you get this next job that gives you a raise. I tell you when this next job is your job and not under somebody else's wing, not under some form of management. Because Taurus is, I own, I have. It's like, no, I own, I have this form of income. So understand that. What I'm saying is we're in retrograde with both Uranus and Jupiter. Okay? And we're re-squaring. We already done this, but we're squaring again Leo, which is the heart, which is the creative projects and expression, which says, look, I don't want you to make money under some employer. I want you to separate yourself from how your family has conditioned you that that's the way to go. And I want you to take this time while we're in hermit mode to experiment a variety of ways that you can accumulate money or resources, which is not just money. A resource that might ultimately contribute to the making of your money. Like if I'm thinking of Rakadija right now, I don't even know if this is for you or not, but it feels like it. It's like, it seems like you need a podcast. I'm telling you, the way your voice sounds, especially when it's you shaping your, whatever those resources you might require, it looks like you already have a microphone because your audio was ridiculously clear, right? Like it's super pristinely clear. But again, it's like that may seem like it's costing you money, but if, let's just say, hosting a podcast has always been dear to your heart on topics of spirituality, whatever, it's asking you to start that, begin that, get fixated on that, internalize what that feels like for you, and realize that Jupiter plans for the future. So though Jupiter is in Taurus, and though inflation may have hit us harder today, it is doing it so that we can prepare a method, a plan for our earning potential in the future, where everybody on this call right now, you'll realize that 12 years from today, you're going to be like, yo, somebody that I heard or met on one of these YouTube channels, I don't even remember his name, has said that 12 years later from now, I'm going to be entirely sustainable. That's Jupiter. 12 years. And there will be steps from now to 12 years from now. You will likely already be making money way before 12 years from now. But in 12 years, you'll have an empire of a foundation. So it is a long game, is my point. It is not an overnight. It's not a tomorrow. I have so many projects that I have a vision for that I've been working on that I want to push out. And it's all, most of it is already done, but it's so much that I can't do it all. It's just a simple reality.
Yeah.
I don't have enough hours in a day unless I want to exhaust myself and eat my chi, literally my prenatal life force. Unless I want to eat at my life force and have bags under my eyes and have my skin turn wrinkly and have my pancreas begin to rot and become cancerous. Unless I'm going to sacrifice that body, I cannot do all of it today, tomorrow, next week, or the week after that. I cannot, even though I see the vision. So this is Jupiter in its 12-year plan. It's a 12-year financial plan, literally. And it's squaring the heart of Leo and Venus. Venus is the physical assets of money. That Venus is more immediate in the money than Jupiter and Taurus is. Jupiter and Taurus, like, look, let's plan long term. Venus is like in Leo, let's take a risk today. What risk?
Venus in Leo is strength card.
It's the strength card.
It's Venus, specifically Venus in Leo is literally the astrological meaning of the strength card, and because that's why Venus is the woman with the head in their mouth, right, or in the lion's head, right? That's the strength. I don't know, but
I get you.
Yeah, you know, when I look at that same card and I put it as simple as I can, it is realizing that what you want, what you crave, what you desire, is going to cost you two things, two main principles. It's going to cost you struggle and strife and a calm mind and heart, knowing that you are more than able in the process of that strife to stay cool, calm, and connected to source and to the ground simultaneously. So when I look at the strength card and look at Venus being right back in Leo, it's like, look, what risk can you take? It's literally saying, what monetary risk can you take that's going to help you plan for the next 12? That's this square between Venus and Jupiter.
Yep.
Some part of the Leo was always about now. It wants results and appreciation today. Okay, Venus is not very patient in Leo. It is still fixed. So the authority is still coming from an internal space. And that's what's so powerful. because the same is happening with Taurus, but from a different energetic signature. And the thing is, they're squaring something they have already squared this way before. They already have. And so I'm telling you, it's going to take an action. Now, if I give the example, for me, this square, this is the laziness aspect of Leo's energy. Think of the lion that's lazy in the jungle, who doesn't need to overeat. They only eat. They have a rule. They have the laws of the jungle. The lion only eats what they need and what is required for the family, and no more, and no less. And this is the natural rules of the jungle. They don't overeat. They have a bargain with all the animals. You can see a lion laying right next to a gazelle and be petting them. And you can see that same lion eat that gazelle 2 weeks from now. So my point is, the lazy lion in this instance for me was, Purnell, go rest. This is the exaltation of Neptune. Go rest. You do not need to eat right now. I don't know if anybody's watching my channel. I don't advertise readings. I'm not telling somebody book a reading every day.
Nope.
If you want a reading, get a reading. I don't care. Because when you're supposed to get a reading or money's supposed to be in my bank, it will come and you will come, whoever you are. I don't need to go look for you. The lion does not need to go look for food. The food comes right to the lion. And if the lion is hungry, the lion will eat.
And the chase is exhausting. It's exhausting.
So this is the point with Taurus in the square. Taurus is another sign as a bull that does not move. Everything it has, it understands it already has. So this is more a test with our financial disturbances that are happening for everybody in the world. Because this is one of the, let's be real, like honest to God, let's just be honest for everybody watching. Everybody's worried about money. And this is the fucking problem. I haven't cursed in so long on my channel, and today I do it with intention. Because I had to learn for myself as well. We talked about the cursing earlier. I have not cursed my channel so long, and now today I do it with intention. Because this is how exhausting it is that everybody in the world is worried about money. It's exhausting. Like, that's a collective expression of exhaustion. It's like, shut up.
Well, especially considering that it's all an artificially created worry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they, them, the powers that be are artificially creating this to try and bring us into a lower frequency, lower currency, right? Like, you know, because money is flows, like that's why a bank's always by a river bank. Like, I'm not even getting into the Babylonian word magic, but like of the whole thing, but like it's all like high level social engineering, and F them, fuck them.
It's totally unnecessary too, because like 9 times out of 10, you have exactly what you need right there at the moment.
Always.
What
right?
am I doing? What?
Always.
Right.
Always. That's the irony of the whole thing. Is like, if we look at the evidence, this is what Virgo is here doing and supporting us with. Okay, the evidence might be terrifying. Okay, the evidence also might be like, oh my God, like, ho, we're cutting it close. But at the end of the day, the evidence is the evidence. The receipts are here, and they're telling us very clearly what's up.
Oh, and especially that's a whole lot of this whole Pluto and Capricorn energy. Like, one of the things about if you can overcome the fear of the god of death, you will be rewarded deeply, you know, and especially with Pluto being in Capricorn, like if you can overcome the fear of this particular kind of monetary fear, you will be rewarded greatly, because the god of death, you don't got too many friends. If you can not be scared of him, he's gonna reward you for being his friend, because he's lonely.
It's like the ultimate fear, fear to conquer,
right?
Yeah. It's harder for me to, like, I don't have much to relate there. Like, I have never really been afraid of death too much. So I don't know if it's a Scorpio rising thing or not. I don't know.
No, that's absolutely a Scorpio thing. If you're strongly, if you're like, woo!
I'm more,
if you're strongly placed in Scorpio, you don't really care about much about, but you're not too scared of death.
if I'm being honest, in the younger years, I was more afraid of an ego death than of actually physically dying.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I'm being real, like ego deaths were way more terrifying for me. Like I'm like, oh my God, like
I can definitely relate to. I'm always like, what's the worst that could happen? I can die. Okay.
Yeah, right? Like,
was
oh
like,
no.
yeah. or even the other one of like that Asian guy that was like, but did you die?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
did you die? Yeah.
So, ladies and gents, I'm going to return to vacation mode. I felt like I really wanted to do this. I'm happy I did. I'm so
super
happy I
glad you
did.
did.
Absolutely. I feel like the four of us today have done so much healing on a global frequency. You know, the biggest one I'm seeing right now is
2244.
Julianne and the whole mom to son and son to mom story.
Yeah.
That was one of the major, and I know that there's so many moms on here. I know so many people have been having fears around finances and about money, about when will it come? Is it going to come? The best I can say in a moment is if that is on your mind, do your best to let that thought process go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you can breathe through it and just trust that it will, but also meet that trust, match that faith with action. Like it's not about doing nothing, okay? Like it's not about just staying still and just hoping, because there is that side of spirituality that thinks that, oh, faith does not require action. It's like, yeah, no, it's not that simple. Like you just don't have to force the action, right? Like you have to allow yourself to be lazy to realize, okay, if I'm no longer deaf and numbing myself from, what's true inside of me, because I'm like quieting all those external noises, and I'm deciding to drive home today with no radio on, and I'm recognizing the urge to watch a YouTube video, but I know that right now it's going to give me a headache if I do, and I don't need to hear anything. I don't need to watch any more tarot readers right now. I just need to listen to the chaos that's happening inside of me and just listen, and little by little get rid of these excess thoughts. When I realize, what am I hearing? What did you just say? Oh, you're broken. Oh my God, you're intolerable and no one loves you? Like, that just sounds so silly. And
Boring.
So, boring, right? And so this is retrograde season. Like, hear that. And as you allow yourself to hear that, go ahead and announce that out loud to somebody else, because I promise you it's going to help you release that. Because the same thing happened to me when I recognized, I gave you that story earlier. I was like, wow, like it's intolerable for me to be as meticulous as I am. And it's like, wait, I'm a meticulous person? Like, yeah, you are meticulous. And it's like all that talk back and forth, we lose track of what was real here. Like, truthfully, what was my voice and what was just one of these voices?
Right.
Whose voice is this? Like, can you even name it? No, you don't have to name it. Okay, fine. But whose voice? It doesn't matter whose voice it was. Well, is it my voice? Okay, well, this is a good question. Was it your voice? No, it doesn't sound like me. Okay, well, can you get rid of that through a breath? Yes. Okay, wait, what? Boom, let's do this together. I inhale my true self. And I exhale the false self. Oh, wow. Okay. I inhale the true self even quieter. And I'm exhaling the false self. Oh, snap, my shoulders dropped that time. Okay, even quieter and even softer and more gentle. I inhale the true self. And I exhale the false self. Oh, my jaw's relaxing. And I inhale the true self. Oh, my belly is even happy now. And I exhale the false self. Now, how many voices are there? 9. There's no voice. It took me 17 seconds on a call with 4 other people who obviously have thoughts of their own. But yet, all of us have no thoughts. Proof in the pudding. Proof in the pudding. You're not really worried about your situation right now. It's not your worry. Let it go. You don't own it, and it doesn't own you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if it comes down to it, you decide that this retreat, the Sacred Innovators Retreat, is for you. I will make that announcement. I'm going to drop that video as we get ready to end this broadcast to show y'all what this looks like. Alex and Jamie are actually both coming to the retreat, so thank y'all for...
Honestly, my big thing is I keep thinking that you're a phony and I'm gonna end up getting ripped off or get graphic next. I know, but it's
natural though.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true, but the voice is like, hey, if you're gonna go there, something real bad's gonna happen. You're playing crash, or it's just a fraud.
Yeah,
and it's not true because I'm stepping out in a big area.
Just fear.
But for me, that's my big thing is I'm stepping out. And, and I keep like, I've been doing what you do is like, the voice go away. You're not real. That's not true. Right?
It's totally natural. I went through the same thing last year. I almost talked myself out of it, but hell no.
I've been trying real hard.
Don't do it.
Like,
don't.
Oh, I'm not going to. Are you kidding? Like,
no.
I'm
I'm excited about meeting.
But like, it's like, fear, man. Fear is the mind killer.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful because it brings you back to the story I gave earlier. Like, as I spoke about when I heard that word of this is intolerable, that I'm meticulous, I heard that voice, and this is a show of weakness, whatever, all these things, and I said it out loud to my partner. She's like, the shock on her face was so confused. She's like, I don't understand because I know this about you, and I chose to be with you knowing this. Like, I actually love you for this, even though it annoys me. And that was her truth. She's like, yes, like it is some of this meticulous stuff that you're meticulous about. It's annoying, but I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And so to hear that, I'm like,
hey, right? It's our flaws that make it valuable.
So emotionally confused. Like I got so like jacked up, emotionally speaking. I was like, and I found myself like wanting to almost argue. And I'm like, but that's not true. Like, I don't want to argue. Like, why do I feel this sensation of wanting to argue right now out of just hearing that
you need to go get the girl?
That this is okay. Like, that actually she's already known this and this is why she loves me. It didn't make sense. And this is the whole dissociating from my true self and wearing the mask of my false self, aka being more afraid of being rejected and not just saying what was true or what my true fear was. Right? Or what my true insecurity was. As I said it, I realized how irrational it was. So this is the magic of like speaking things out loud, especially for air signs, okay? Because I had to realize that the karma that air signs come with is you have many gods and all their voices inside of you and many deities and many demons. You are just a communicator, and who's communicating through you is so many entities. It's not just humans. Humans is one species that communicate with you. There's so many. And I have a lot of air signs in me. And I had to realize, like, these voices will never stop unless I breathe. Period. And when I do, I realize I come back and I'm like, okay, what's the voice left over? So, you know, I thank you for sharing that. Because as I got shocked and confused with myself when I shared that with my partner, I hear you now and I could do nothing but smile because I'm like, well, he's not the only one. Like, so many people believe this. Like, so many people. And it makes me smile at this point. I used to take it so offensively. I used to, like, want to fight and be defensive in these moments of, like, what do you mean? Because I spent so much energy on, like, my integrity. Like, it mattered to me. And I said that earlier. Like, it mattered to me what people felt. It mattered to me what people, like, I cared. It mattered to realize that I cared. And I had to, like, admit to myself I cared. And then there was that step after where it was like, well, because I care, like, I need to allow these people to have their own thoughts and feelings. Like, it's not mine. I honestly can't do anything about that. Like, if he decided to back out or if he taught himself, then he wasn't supposed to be here. And I had to learn to just come to that level of acceptance of, like, that's okay. Like, everybody's not supposed to come. And, like, I used to try to, earlier today, somebody was talking to me about the retreat and how they wanted to come and this and that. And, like, I noticed this window of opportunity. And I was like, I could say something right now, and it will probably convince him to come. And then I was like, but is that what I should do? Is that what I'm supposed to do? I don't want to say should. I was like, is that what I feel like I should supposed to? I'm going to forget the semantics in a moment because I don't have the proper word. I'm going to say, I'm going to leave out what I'm trying to take the mind out of this process. And I was like, God, do you want me to say this right now, or what I'm thinking about saying? And God was like, no. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to say anything. And I said nothing. That every logical part of me wanted to see it. And I saw an opportunity, and it was like, you could say something. And God was like, yeah, but no. And so I asked, I was like, but let me see. I was like, but God, is this person going to be there? And they were like, yes. And so I'm like confused as all hell. I'm like, so do you want me to say something, or you not want me to say something? Like, they're supposed to be here, but what? And so to me, it makes no logical sense. But the one thing was clear, that I'm supposed to say nothing. So it's like, okay, well, from here, it's like I said earlier, with Pisces energy, to learn to be okay with, I don't know. I don't have the final answer. I don't know. Period. That's the final truth. If there's one thing that's true in that whole back and forth conversation is, I don't know. I know he's going to be here, but I don't know the rest and how that looks and what that looks. I don't know. I don't know how that process works out. All I do know is that I'm not supposed to say something. So I say nothing. And this is a part of the whole trust narrative. This is Pisces energy of like, look, trust. Because again, force is not the it. This level and this sort of business, making people feel a certain sense of urgency of, yo, you got to get in now because spots are closing. It's like, this business has gotten so many people to the point of what Alexander just said. Of what he just said of like, well, I don't know. Is this guy a scam? It's exactly that kind of stuff. If I would, and I bring that story up live in transparency right now, where it's like, I had the natural urge to want to try to convince him. And the word that triggers me when I say this is convince. That's the trigger word.
You don't have to convince me. I applied. I'm trying to like, and then
I'm not even talking about you.
I'm
talking about the guy that didn't apply. Who I actually want to come.
Yeah.
I know that I want this person to come. And so again, he didn't do this on his own.
Yeah.
But I heard myself wanting to convince him. And that word convince was the trigger for me. I was like,
convince, that's forcing, right?
Exactly.
One of the things we're trying to move away from, right? Right. And to be on that sort of stuff, like, right? It's just how it is, right?
So that was the key. And so this is where we hopefully that last bit of the story brings some ironic clarity. Right? Like,
absolutely.
Just some ironic clarity of like allowing ourselves to quiet these things up and realizing I was like, okay, I hear this one word. There's one word out of this whole thing that sticks out. And it's the urge. Even though I didn't verbally say it out loud, I'm like, I took a breath on it and I heard it. I was like, you heard that, Pernell. You said convince in your head. And that word within itself is manipulation. This is South Node Libra. You will not manipulate this person, period.
Nope.
And then also to not judge myself in the process of realizing that that's exactly what happened. That was the truth. That came up. Whose voice it was doesn't even matter anymore. It really doesn't. I don't own it. It doesn't own me. And learning to not identify with those thoughts, because I could tell in a past version of myself would have wanted to go so introspective, like almost like, what's wrong with me? Like, why would I try to convince somebody? Why would I try to manipulate?
Like, beat yourself up.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But instead, I was just like, well, the simplicity of this is I feel no weight. What's not allowing me to feel any weight? What's allowing me to feel very kind and gentle with myself and with wherever the process of what is going on. And for me, on just my 50% was that I didn't try to convince him or manipulate him.
Yep.
I just left it as is. I literally left it how God left me, told me to leave it. And I just left it without knowing, because I'm only hearing this next part, this clarity, hours later on a call. And that happened right before this call. No lie. Like if I would have went on this tangent to have this discussion with him, this call either would have one got delayed. Maybe I wouldn't have called Alex, Rakadija, or Jamie. Maybe all three of y'all would not have gotten on it because maybe energetically at that point, I wasn't on the same frequency because I tried to do something out of alignment. There's
Right.
so many maybes in this. But the reality is, I know in my heart that the best thing I did today was to have 4 strangers that I've never met to come on the channel and speak, because I know that this is the best form of exemplifying Pisces as one soul, as one body, as one God, as one person. I couldn't do it any better than that, because at the end of the day, you're the people. There's no, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing logical that I need to say about this Pisces transit rather than just let people be people.
Right. Each drop is an individual in the ocean, right? But still an ocean.
Dope. So I thank the both of you. That said,
Absolutely.
I'll play this for y'all. I want to say thank y'all for hitting the thumbs up and the likes button. Thank y'all for being here. All right. If you feel that pull in your heart, I will say take the time to apply to the retreat, because
Do it. It'll be fun.
4
I'll see
more
you there.
days, you'll see Alex there. You'll see Jamie there. 4 more days, I won't be on vacation. So there are already applications that are in that I didn't get to, that new ones that came in. So I do see you. If you hear this, I see you. I'm going to get there. I'm letting y'all know where I'm at. And I thank y'all both for being here.
Great.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Love.
Bye.
I bet you be the last one.
Ciao.